All right, guys, let's take a look at this Astor-Banks Sea Ranger. Big thanks to my buddy Homer for sharing this one, along with a ton of other watches over time. But thanks, Homer, for sending this Astor-Banks Polar Edition white dial Sea Ranger in. They have a few other colorways. There is a very good-looking turquoise-ish, bluish color dial one they call the Ranger B. There's the Ranger S, which actually has a full coated black case and black dial, and then there's a black dial one. So let's just get right into it. We'll talk about case size. I measure 41 millimeter. It's a little hard to measure this because the crown guards are basically integrated into the case, if that makes sense. You can see how it just flares out a little bit more dramatically on the crown side. So I tried to exclude that as much as possible, and I still get like 41 millimeter case width. Lug to lug is very short at 45.65, and the bracelet folds over instantly. So for small wrist guys, this is going to wear really good. And then thickness 13.7 if you include that double dome sapphire crystal, about 12 millimeter if you exclude it, and 20 millimeter lug width, and a really well built bracelet tapering down to, we're going to call it 16, but it's actually a touch under 16 millimeter, which is really good. So fully milled out center clasp here. I think this is actually all milled out too. That's not stamped. 4 micro adjusts. You know, you just kind of pressure push that down, and then it's got a fold over clasp. Still some stickers on this. Homer definitely didn't size the bracelet. I sized the bracelet, which we'll talk about that in a moment as well. I think, I'm not even sure Homer ever actually even wore this, to be honest with you. I've tried it both on the thin rubber strap that it comes with, which is very, very comfortable. It also comes with this high quality seat belt type NATO strap and labeled. So you have tons of options. I would easily wear this on the bracelet because the bracelet is super good. Like I said, we'll talk about that in a moment. So inside this thing, you have a automatic SW200 movement, and it's running great. I think I clocked it. I don't know if I wrote it down. I think I clocked it at like a +6 seconds or something like that. I think that's what it was on the time grapher. Signed crown, really nice screw down, a ton of thread on it, almost maybe too much thread. I don't know, it's kind of weird unthreading it and everything like that. 120 click bezel, very precise. There's like, I don't want to say play, but like once you go forward, like you pull it back into position. It's not, I think it's a little different than play. It's like settling, okay? Settling in like that. So this one has the 12-hour bezel on it, so you're going to be able to track a second time zone, or you could figure out a way to do a little countdown action with it. But let's see, there's 2 different looms on this. There's primarily BGW9, so you're going to get that blue loom, and you can see it's mostly white looking. And then on the hour hand, you can see it's a little more greenish tint to it, or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe it's all C3. We'll do a loom shot at the end, but let me look here. Yeah, see, it's all BGW9, and then you have the C3 on the minute hand. So I'll do a better representation of that at the end with the loom shot. But and then you have that very powerful full red thick seconds hand. Now I know there's probably going to be some people that could either take it or leave it on that. That is definitely overpowering to a certain extent. It could be a little more delicate, and then maybe just a tip of red I think would be a better balance. But it's definitely, you can see it, that's for sure. So if we do a close-up on the dial, you're going to see a really nice, clean, almost matte polar white with almost like an embossed circle in towards the center there with the 24-hour markings on it. And then a really nice applied polished, squared on the outside, rounded on the inside. So they have a shape to them for sure, and doubled up at the 12. And those are heavily filled with loom. This one has a blacked out handset, but high polished, or well, not polished, but glossy. There we go. And a gloss red, as you can see there. Seconds hand with loom in there as well. The only other pop of color on the dial is obviously the Sea Ranger, and that is fine. It balances out nice. Now, framing those indices and the hands with black make it super legible for sure. The bezel insert is a sapphire insert, so that way the loom is going to be just as bright as the loom on the hands and indices. And then on the case back, it's fairly clean, sterile, but engraved out. This 300 or a 30 Atmos Swiss movement, Chicago, USA printed right on to the case back. or cut in. Now it's not made in Chicago, guys. It's just the concept is Chicago. So sapphire crystal and then Astor-Banks Sea Ranger. I believe the 067 is numbered. I'm not sure how many of these they actually made, but solid end links with that first center link articulating, and I shown that earlier. So that's how you're going to get that really good articulation. So, and they're really short links. So coupled with the shorter links and the 4 micro adjust, you're going to get a perfect size on this thing, no problem. Really nice machined out screw links, screw for the hardware there. And this thing is going to drape like really good. It flows really good. You can see, how short these links are. So they don't quite fold over on each other, but they also don't have a ton of flex either. So like there's a little bit of flex, but not a ton. So let me give you a wrist shot of this on my 7 1/4. I love that the bracelet tapers down to just below 16 millimeter. That also adds to the comfort level on this thing. So a good tapered bracelet is a must for comfort, I think. There's nothing wrong with a non-tapering bracelet. Most watches, I prefer a taper on it. All right, so price tag on this, I'm going to put a link in the description to the website for Astor-Banks. Their retail price is $850. I'm not sure if they do any discounts, guys. You can email them. I have not talked to them, even though they're in Chicago. Hopefully, I will do a Chicago run, and maybe I'll meet up with the guys over at Astor-Banks and check out some other models. But they look like a really great product, and they're definitely up there, competing with, it gets pretty heavy with competition once you get above that $500 mark, I think. But there's quite a broad spectrum of, from like this range, $850 up to $1,500. There's quite a bit of offerings there. So that are, especially in the micro brand or high-end micro brand, if you will. So this is definitely up there, and they're well below that $1,000 mark, although it is, quite a bit above the $500 mark. So you have to really decide what is going to work for you as far as what you're looking for. But they're definitely there. So great product. Drilled lugs too. I didn't point that out, but really good looking watch. Let me give you that lume shot. They also use Viton gaskets. So, a lot of the materials they're using are premium with, with the sapphire, in the really good, the lume, the dual application of lume, 300 meter water resist, great bracelet. Bracelets are expensive to do on the micro brand world to get a good one. Most of the micro brand owners that I've talked to, they'll tell me that bracelets can be tricky. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Big thanks to Homer for sending this in, and I'll catch you on the next vid.